Bohner?
This is the Full Fat Podcast, where every week we shoot the shit and talk about various pop culture, including WandaVision, which we've been going through since it started. It's hard to believe it was 8 weeks ago, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's gone so fast.
But yeah. But Terry, Charlie, as we've been going through every week, and I've been asking you what you thought for the final time, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice finale. I think it helped that article come out recently about where I think it was the creator of the show said that he thinks fans are going to be disappointed because of everyone building up that there was going to be some sort of reveal. So I feel like that helped me because it was like, I'm so glad that did come out because we were all very like, we had a load of questions, didn't we? We was all asking, what's the big reveal? And I think I probably would have been disappointed if I didn't have had him come out and say that. But because I was sort of prepared, I was like, okay, it's going to be an actual finale for the characters. There isn't going to be anything sort of particularly like wider MCU world, do you know what I mean, that's going to come in. So I was, I like that the episode got stuck in straight away, and I like that it ended up sort of, it started off action heavy and sort of went a bit sort of more character driven, and it kind of paid off those character beats that we'd been, you know, following out throughout the show, and I quite enjoyed it. How about you guys?
I thought the first half was fantastic. I thought the first half of the second half was a bit dodgy. Initially, I was like, I didn't enjoy the second half as much. It was all still great, but there was like but the end of the second half, upon reflection.
Some quick maths.
2 + 2 is 4. -1, that's 3. Quick maths.
So you said the first half was good, the first half of the second half was bad, and the second half of the second half was good. So what you're saying is
it wasn't bad.
The third quarter was the only bad quarter.
It was weakest, yes, in my opinion. But I thought the end was nice. It like sort of brought together this whole story of grief that they were telling, which was more of a reflective thought than an initial thought.
We're going to dig into sort of the nitty-gritty in some of the scenes and obviously some of the big fights, but would you say you're satisfied as kind of a yes or no from this series?
I would say I'm 75% satisfied.
Well, sounds like our love life.
75, that's a lot.
Brilliant.
Just single tear, yeah.
And they can see your single tear this week.
When I put in a lot of effort, I think we can get it up to at least 20% satisfying. 20%
for about 30 seconds, yeah.
I think 30 seconds is pushing it, personally.
It's going to last a whole song this time.
See, Terry's doing this to you so that you try harder. Smart, Terry.
She said to me she wants our love life to last as long as an episode of the podcast, which is why this podcast episode is going to be so short.
And that's all we have time for.
Well, baby, that was so disappointing. I'm sorry. I just don't believe in wasting time. You know, time is money. You gotta
go. So less of our love life and more of WandaVision.
Less of our love life, more of WandaVision. Yeah.
You said 75%, didn't you? That you was satisfied with the episode.
Yes.
I felt quite satisfied from a character point of view. In terms of, I was very satisfied with the story we've been following. Yes. Was I satisfied in the fact that, you know, we thought that the character was going to go in? No, not so much, but I kind of like took that out of my head and didn't care as much after that article. I sort of thought, okay, it's not really about that, and I have enjoyed what the bulk of the show has been about anyway, and obviously like the characters and particularly Wanda and Vision, because I think what this show has given us is you know, a proper origin story essentially with these two characters, and it's made them a lot more interesting, because I don't know about you guys, I wasn't particularly interested in like Vision that much in the other movies, and I think Scarlet Witch, I always see her potential, but she wasn't really, her muscles weren't really flexed until now, which I was
I've always liked Scarlet Witch,
yeah.
Or well, up until this point, Wanda,
yeah.
And I think she's always had a little bit more to do than Vision.
Yes.
And I think he's the one that's really gotten the most of an up. Well, she's had more to do in this series, but I think the point at which he started from beforehand, he's gone up in my estimation way more. Yes. Because I already liked her. I already liked her a lot. Do you know what I mean? So
and we got more Paul Bettany.
Just give me more.
Paul Bettany brought more of himself in, I felt, with this. Into the character.
Ever since I saw him as Dryden Voss, I wanted more of that.
Me too.
It's a party.
It's a party.
Looks just like the real thing.
But yes, and I'm saying I would believe you. It's that good.
What did we think of the opening bit of carnage with not only Wanda v Agatha, but Vision v the V1000, if you will?
The V1000. Yeah, I thought that was cool. The only thing I would say was I do think it's difficult to do flying characters fighting. I think, like, I think it's something that we've not quite figured out. Obviously, like things like Man of Steel, they kind of do it very anime-esque. And then
It felt very Man of Steel.
yes, and in some
Yeah.
places, yeah. But then I guess that's the only way to do sort of flying, because I guess that's kind of how the physics would work. I guess, like, if you generate that much power, if you hit someone, surely they would still fly off. I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it?
It was more down to like the way, like the moves they were pulling off and stuff. Like particularly when Vision dragged White Vision across the ground, it kind of reminded me of in Man of Steel. You know, when he's like punches off, like, "Don't touch my mother."
You think you can threaten my mother?
And then he like throws them into like a tanker or whatever, and it was the same thing here, where he gets thrown into like Walter White's camper van, as you said. when we were
Yeah.
watching it.
That's what it looked like.
I was a bit worried coming into this episode because we had Wanda, we have Agnes, we have Monica, who all have their witchy wiggly woo powers. Then we've got obviously Vision 1000. We've got the kids. So there's like so many people like in the Hex with powers. I was just scared it was just going to come with like a free for all brawl type thing. But I think it was handled really well, and that there was like action, and then it kind of took a step back, and then it jumped back into the action, and then it took a bigger step back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, when the whole family was assembled, and I'm pretty sure I was going to call it the Incredibles moment.
Yeah, it was
but
very
I think
Incredibles.
But I think it's almost an Incredibles reference, because there's that shot where all four of them are together,
Yeah.
and it sort of and it pushes in from the perspective of the tanks. It felt very, very much like the same shot in Incredibles. You know, when they're they're in like the jungle setting, and they're all
Yes.
finally together.
And it like
almost felt like the
swoops
same
down.
shot.
It did,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if that was
And there was another
completely
little
intentional reference.
Sorry. There was another little reference in that, in when Wanda hit Agnes with the car and sent her into the building. It was like the Wizard of Oz, because you could see her little feet.
Yes.
Oh
well,
yeah,
Which I really
that
liked.
is cool. Yeah.
There was another Oz reference on the cinema. It said now playing Oz the Great and Powerful, which is of course directed by Sam Raimi, who is going to be directing Wanda next.
Which I thought was very interesting.
Wow, that's
I thought it was
very
interesting.
They have really done. They've gone really meta. It's like I'm gonna just talk about when she becomes obviously the Scarlet Witch. But if she didn't know previously that she was the Scarlet Witch, who did she dress up as on Halloween?
She says she's a Sokovian fortune teller, I believe.
Oh yeah.
So I guess
thought that was a lie when she said it. She was just like, oh, it's this.
Oh, well,
That's how I took
maybe
it.
maybe she has subconsciously created the look and said to herself, "Oh, it's a Sokovian fortune teller." Do you know what I mean? Not knowing that it was the witch.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we don't know, because we don't know how much of it is sort of like. I feel like when they imply all these things about the lore behind the Scarlet Witch and that she is forged and she's this evil dark messiah, it kind of very much feels like Dark Phoenix.
Yes,
Yeah.
And that whole
it does.
storyline.
It almost feels like she's been like possessed by the Scarlet Witch, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
That's how it feels.
But it doesn't
Like
feel
the Scarlet
like
Witch is. Sorry, go on.
it doesn't feel like a painful thing though. Like in terms of like the Jean
no.
the Jean Grey comparison, like the Phoenix, it's like it doesn't feel like she's not got it under control. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously Phoenix is a bit more like, you know, out of control.
Yes.
The
Yes,
power.
absolutely.
Whereas she
I
seems
guess
to
the
be able to hone it.
I guess the difference is that Phoenix can't control her power in like a physical sense, whereas Wanda can if she wants to lift up a car, she can, but it's more about the mental stresses and
Yes.
the toll it's taken on her, and over the years, and all of her trauma affects how well she uses her powers.
Yes.
I
but
think
yeah.
possessed was maybe too harsh a word. I feel like it was the Scarlet Witch was gifted upon her sort of thing.
Gifted, yeah. Mayhaps. I was very intrigued by all of the info dumps we were getting from Agatha as they were fighting, she confirms that the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than Doctor Strange, doesn't she?
Your power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme.
She says she's more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. So it's interesting to see how... I wonder how that's going to play out in Doctor Strange 2. Because, I was going to ask you about this, Terry, specifically because we obviously spoke about the idea would Wanda be a villain by the end of the season or going to Doctor Strange 2, and you obviously didn't... You weren't a fan of that. So are you kind of happy that... It doesn't seem like it's going to go that way, or I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, it just feels like so cliched to be like, oh, this woman has too much power and now she can't handle her emotions, so she can't handle her power, so we must take her down. Like, it's
yes,
it's a sucky storyline.
I'm of two minds about it because I agree with you on that sense. I do think it's a bit of a tired trope, like we've seen it handled poorly with Dark Phoenix and with like Daenerys and Game of Thrones, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But what I did like about it is that they kind of did that with Iron Man a little bit, in the sense that you made him a hero, and then we went into Civil War, and things got a bit grimy, and then by the end of the movie, it's like, he did try to murder Bucky, and he ended up with egg on his face, he ended up completely humiliated, like laying there broken, with, the shield was left to him, because Cap didn't want it anymore, their relationship was completely destroyed, and half the Avengers hated him. And then obviously... By the end of his arc, I Am Iron Man, he brought it back, he saved the universe. And I'm wondering if they're going to do a similar thing with Wanda, which would be interesting to go, she's been a hero for Age of Ultron, et al. And all that. And now WandaVision is where perhaps she realises the true extent of her power, and Doctor Strange is perhaps maybe about her learning to control that. And she'll come, maybe that'll be her Civil War, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes, very possibly.
I feel like that's... I'd be surprised if that does happen, just because, the end credit of her learning the spells through that book, I think that says to me that, she's going to start being able to control it a bit more. And I feel like the whole point of this sort of season was that she doesn't have control of it. She's realised that through her emotions or whatever, that they can, create... she needs to have them controlled in all...
Yeah.
And that's the arc kind of thing. And I feel like it would be weird to go back kind of to that.
Yeah. I think she definitely learns her lesson by the end of this.
Yeah.
It's like, if she lets go of her grief, then she has more control of her powers.
Yeah, I could see it happening again, but in terms of... But I don't think it would be like a... And it might be like a last resort kind of thing, maybe. Like, she really... But I just can't see it happening. I feel like the whole point with this was that she was learning to sort of control it a bit more and who she was.
Yeah.
I was less sure than when we spoke about this in the episode 3 review, that she was going to become a villain, based on what you guys have just said. But I do also think, as much as she fixed this problem, I think what they're implying long term is that as she grows in more power, she's going to face more problems. And
I could see that too.
There's going to be more.
Yes,
because the way Agatha was like, oh, you have no idea what you've unleashed, and one day you're going to need me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like they are setting it up.
That is a good point, yeah.
It's not going to be like a black and white thing of she breaks bad and now suddenly she's a villain. I think it's going to be a continuous thing of the more power I get, the question of whether or not I can control it is going to keep coming up.
And Agatha said it was like in the prophecy for her, a prophecy for her to destroy the world. Did she? Have I got that wrong?
Yes,
it was in the book. It was written in the book that she would destroy the world. So
it was in the damn book.
Yeah, it was in the book. So I like the idea that her destiny is to destroy the world, but she's constantly battling against that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's cool because that ties into the whole theme of the episode. And what Agatha was trying to do to her is she kept trying to show her who she was. And she kept being like, you're this person, you're this destroyer of worlds. The citizens will gather around her, and she makes them tell their truths and their pain and how traumatic the whole experience has been. In an effort, Agatha is doing all these things, isn't she, in an effort to show Wanda what a terrible person she is. And for her at the end to say, I don't need you to tell me who I am, was so satisfying, I thought. And I think it's almost what she's needed to say since the very beginning of the MCU. She's always been passed around between people who thought they knew better for her, whether it be Strucker or Ultron, or even Thunderbolt Ross in Civil War and all those sort of things, Tony Stark. and even indeed in this, Hayward and Agatha. So,
Yes.
For her to actualise
It's true.
as the Scarlet Witch was very epic.
And it was cool the way they sort of revealed her having that realization with, that all the people sort of zombifyingly coming towards her, like, can you help? Like, we'll do what you want. Just save my kid or do this. And, I thought that was really
And
cool. Like,
Agatha called them meat puppets.
You're making her say this.
She's your meat puppet. I just cut her strings.
That was horrible.
meat puppets.
Meat puppets. Like, just... Ugh.
Yeah, that is gross.
Baby, I've heard you use that in the bedroom.
Less about our love life.
What did you guys think of not only the Vision v Vision Man of Steel stuff, which you kind of already covered, but more importantly, I think the Ship of Theseus scene where Vision basically made an appeal to Conditional Vision V1000 that...
He just, no you'd him, didn't he? He was like, I'm here to destroy the Vision, and Vision was like, no you.
I love the way he wrecked him like a computer would wreck another computer, like...
Only a conditional vision.
Pow!
You're only the conditional vision. It's like, oh, conditional. Like,
Yeah, in the computer world, all the other computers were going nuts. They were like, damn.
yeah.
They were like, oh, shit. Amazing.
I'm not a rapper. I'm not a rapper.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite scenes, actually, of the episode. I really liked it. I like that he kind of... It wasn't a smashy smash that solved it, it was him like almost reprogramming him.
Absolutely.
Like you're a consciousness that exists. You're not someone to be controlled. Like, and he understood what things to say, and I thought it was a really cool scene, the way he just sort of spoke him down, because it does make sense.
And I like that it's not... I mean, not to say Spider-Man 2 is a bad example, but I just don't think that plot point would have worked for this, in where Doc Ock is evil until the inhibitor chip stops it, and then it's like Peter can talk to Doc Ock on a level now that the inhibitor chip's stopping it.
Yes.
I like that it wasn't that. It was...
Same.
Yeah, he just talks to him, and because he is the Vision, it's like kind of like Scott Pilgrim with like Scott and Nega Scott, isn't it?
Nigga Scott.
Nigga Scott.
Yeah, he's just a really nice guy. We're gonna get brunch next week.
Where they're like they're both the same person essentially, so of course they would get on. Vision
also
just
it's like-
needs to talk to him, and he'll learn, won't he?
100%, and it makes sense because it's like the people that programmed the V1000, they know that they can only do a certain amount in terms of programming that way. Whereas Vision, he's a computer. He understands how to make computers do what he wants. Do you know what I mean? So he's obviously it makes sense that he would just talk it down. Obviously, his programming is going to be way better than these like human scientists programming, unless they're Tony Stark or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I thought it was nice because as soon as White Vision popped up, we all thought, oh, well, surely he's going to combine with him, and that's how he's going to leave the Hex. But I think it was actually nicer that...
He just disappeared, didn't he?
What the disappearing, I don't so much like.
He just flew away, and we have no idea what happened to him. Do you think Vision will, if we continue to see Vision in the MCU, do you think he will keep his memories of the Hex, or do you think he's just not going to remember any of it?
I think he will. He gives him his memories, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The true Vision or Wanda's
does he
Vision.
not unlock the memories that are already in Vision's body? Because obviously his body has not been in the Hex this whole time.
Oh, I suppose so. Yeah, because he says something, doesn't he? Like, your memory banks aren't the same as like normal human beings. They're kind of like, it's all stored away.
He said they're being restricted, and when he touched the little stone, he unrestricted them.
As a carbon-based synthesoid, your memory storage is not so easily wiped.
Yeah, something like that.
From my understanding,
I
It's
feel like
techno-babble.
computer jargon.
he accessed the cloud. That's what I thought he did. I imagine his consciousness is in the cloud, and he accessed it. And it makes sense. He's a computer. He put it in some sort of satellite. It's sending down to him. He can access his memories at any point in any sort of body that he's in. That's what I imagine he is like.
Interesting.
I didn't know you were a screenwriter from 2014 to 2016 where, as soon as we had cloud stuff, eventually Hollywood started being like, oh, it's been saved to the cloud. Or do you remember that movie Sex Tape?
Yep, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
The whole thing was, it was like in the cloud and they'd But like, there was this really silly plot point in that where like they'd copied their sex tape to every single device or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it didn't make sense that it would download
And it was like really wild stuff. I went to see it as a first date when I was a teenager, and it was the most awkward viewing of my life. I remember that film very
That's funny.
vividly.
Hello, and welcome to an evening. Hello. And
What I really liked about the whole scene in general, like even when they was fighting, I think they got quite inventive with it. Like I like when he sort of punched through him and then like trapped him in his own body and then like throwing him around with it. Like I just love that you could do that with Vision. I think it's like a power that we haven't really seen that you can. Do you know what I mean?
because he's sort of like V1000 like went to punch him and he like phased through him, didn't he? And he like caught his arm.
Yeah.
That was really
sick.
cool. That was really cool.
And it's interesting how later on when the bullets go through Monica, sorry, I've jumped a little bit, but it's relevant.
It's all powers.
She has
It's
like
all
the
powers.
same. Yes, it's all powers. She does like the same thing. Like the bullets go through her, don't they? Like she changes her density. So I'm wondering if like the Mind Stone gave Wanda her powers, but the Mind Stone has also given Monica the powers through the hex. If that
Yes, I wasn't sure if it was that she was necessarily phasing them through her. It was kind of like I feel like her powers are to do sort of like absorbing, because you know how like it sort of her eyes went orange. Before we had blue power, she had blue energy, didn't she?
True,
She had,
yeah.
like, wiggly woos.
Yeah, so I'm like, what exactly is it? I thought it was just sort of like almost like a blue Captain Marvel sort of thing.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to think it's more to do with like she absorbs things maybe. Because the bullets passed through her, didn't they? But they'd lost their
Slowed,
sort of,
their momentum.
yeah. The kinetic energy had sort of been drawn out of them almost.
That's a really cool power though, like to absorb energy and then use it. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I mean, everyone in this show it's a bit of a misnomer for the MCU. Everyone in it is like really powerful, even
Super
the kids.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the kids could mess up some Hawkeyes and Black Widows. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, easy, easy.
Oh my god.
Without
kid
powers.
The kid with that stopped the bullet, not the fast kid. He was in Hill House, and I just find him so annoying.
Oh, do you really?
Oh,
I thought he was so sweet.
Yeah, I do. I thought he was annoying in Hill House. I think he's annoying in this one. I'm really sorry. I'm not much of a kid person anyway.
poor kid.
Evil person,
But-
that's what you are, Terry.
Can you imagine? He comes to watch the Full Pat podcast. Oh, he's so annoying.
Yeah, can you imagine if this kid that is already more successful in his lives than we are in our own, as a star of an MCU epic, watches the full Fat videos and is really offended? I'm sure he'll be laughing all the way to the bank.
You say that, but poor Annie, the actor who played Annie in the original Phantom Menace, you know, it messed him up.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Annie.
Like the Annie the musical.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's
The
a
orphan
dog.
girl, Annie.
Tomorrow.
Annie, that's Lassie. Lassie's the dog.
No, isn't Annie the dog?
Annie's a little. No, Annie's
Annie's
a
the
little
little ginger
girl.
girl, yeah.
I don't
So
know.
Terry.
Do you know what's
Don't care
funny?
about
We
that
did
stuff. I
Annie
care
at
about cool
school.
shit.
Yeah. Good shit, yeah.
Um,
The MCU.
Expansion of the MCU.
We did Annie at school, and I was the only ginger kid, and I didn't get cast as Annie, and I had to wear a brown wig.
That's because you were.
while
That's because
the
you were
girls who
terrible.
played Annie wore ginger wig.
She was fantastic. The other girl.
Bad actor.
Yeah, as we all know. On the subject of Monica, you've reminded me that I wanted to mention on the pod that I thought Monica, Darcy, and Jimmy Woo were all kind of wasted in this episode.
That's true.
They fulfilled plot things like Jimmy Woo bringing the cavalry or getting Hayward stitched up, and obviously Darcy stops Hayward and all that sort of stuff. But they just sort of felt like they were there for the majority of the episode. They pop up and go away.
I agree with your point about Darcy, because they literally just had her drive into
Yeah, she did nothing.
the director
She did
guy,
nothing
didn't
in the
they?
episode,
She
yeah.
did absolutely nothing. But I actually wrote down in my notes Jimmy Woo
Flourish.
becoming my favourite character.
Oh no, he's still awesome.
Because like he's the way he was like, yeah, they're coming, and then he goes around the corner and is like, yeah, can you come please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it so
I
much.
liked that in particular because I thought they were going to do the kind of the bullshit trope where, you know, they're twiddling it with their thumbs and he's just called them. Yeah. It was nice that he just, I'm in a tight spot here.
I've always thought that is a wasted opportunity for a gag when they do that. I'm like, surely they should send like a load of nonsense, and they're like, what does he mean? Like, why is he wrote? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. But yeah, that trope is annoying. I do agree with that.
I was waiting for my chance.
I was kind of what I did thought was a bit weird. Is I feel like we didn't get much closure with Wanda and who's the guy who runs Sword again?
Hayward.
Hayward. Yeah, I feel like we didn't get much of a. You know what I mean? Like them to.
Yeah, because he gets arrested in the post-credit scene. It's like we don't even care at this point.
Yeah.
Like, strange. I mean, he was kind of the secondary antagonist anyway.
Yeah,
I think it would have been nice to see Wanda confront him at the end.
Yes.
I suppose it's just time constraints, isn't it? They're trying to fit it into an episode. I think they could have easily made this episode like a feature-length movie, but you don't want to do that.
You can tell that they funneled the focus into the family. We need to provide closure for Vision, Wanda, the kids, and then obviously give Agatha something to do. And it seems like there wasn't much time left over for everyone else, which is, it's fine. Obviously, you know, WandaVision, they should get the focus in the finale.
Yeah.
They're in the title, but it seems strange after the amount of time we'd spent with everyone else, particularly like with Monica, for example, because she basically got her own episode. And then she does nothing really.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's weird now looking at it in all the context, because I'm glad they have that last beat together where they're kind of, where Rambo's like, I would have done the same thing if I was in your position. I thought that was a great scene. And it was good because I felt like it helped Wanda not beat herself up too much about the scenario. And, you know, rationalise her thoughts a bit more. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I guess she gets the importance of that scene, but other than that, it is weird that she doesn't really get... I wonder, she does have the post-credit, though, with the...
Yeah, we're going to see her in her own story.
I know, but the post-credit to me, it's the same thing as Hayward getting arrested in the post-credit. It's like, once you get to the post-credit, we're just teasing things for the future for fun now. I don't really agree with, like, giving characters their arcs and plot points in the post-credit.
I agree, that is a good point,
Seems like too much. The thing that I found most disappointing across the whole episode was Ralph Bohner.
Ralph Bohner.
You're really Ralph Bohner?
Bohner. I love that you said that.
I feel like I just didn't understand what happened.
It made me laugh because it reminded me of a story from school involving me and Charlie, where in a history lesson, we were learning about this thing called Bohner law. It was literally called Bohner law. And Harry Bagg, our editor, literally just went, Bohner?
Bohner?
Really loudly. And like at this point, this was a sixth form class. We weren't kids at this point, and we were just giggling at the teacher. And it was to the point where even the teacher was laughing at the juvenile nature of just, Bohner.
Bohner?
And it was the same gag here, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're
literally.
Bohner. Yeah. Bohner. As funny as it was, it's really disappointing.
What do you think it means then? Do you think?
Yeah, I'm so confused.
I think the implication is that he is a real person played by Evan Peters who lives in that house, and he's another one of the citizens that was turned. Because Monica looks at a piece of paper, doesn't she, and she says, "Oh, you're the one that actually lives here, and Agatha's sort of staying here with you." So it's sort of almost to explain why Agatha would be the neighbour, but it's just turned Quicksilver's whole part to play in this series into a bit of a gimmick. I liked that he came in, and then not only did he come in, but he had like a relationship to Wanda, and they got to speak and stuff.
Next thing I know, I heard you calling me. I knew you needed me.
And then for all of that to get sort of chucked away, and then...
It feels really...
Yeah, that was a real shame.
Yeah, because when it got chucked away, I kind of thought, oh, it'll come back in the finale, but it didn't really, did it?
No. Yeah,
he was there for an episode, and then...
Essentially,
was gone.
Yeah. He was the guest star for that episode.
Yeah, that was a real shame. That was one of the big disappointments of all of this episode. Although I do find it weird that, you know, he does make that joke of like, haha, Bohner. So that makes me think that, like, it isn't him. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, why would he laugh at his own name? Do you know what I mean? Like, he knows that's his name.
I don't know.
So is it like implied something else?
My hope is that they've just left it open-ended because they weren't sure if people were going to love or hate the fact that they've brought someone in from the X-Men universe. And then when we get into the multiverse as we go further down the MCU, maybe he will come back into it. It's just disappointing because it's like they must have known that everyone would be discussing the implications of Evan Peters' Quicksilver coming in and what that means, and the fact that it's not like we're guessing that it's going to turn into a multiverse thing. We know it's going to turn into a multiverse thing. Yeah. So it seems strange to just have a little bit of a meta casting joke.
Yeah, I thought they were like, this is going to be fun, and then it totally blew out of control with everyone going, the X-Men, and they're like, oh no, which is why that article came out.
And as much as it's a fanboy thing to say, oh, Magneto might come in because Quicksilver's come in, the reason why we were so interested in Magneto coming in is because he is Wanda's father, he presents a new moral paradigm to her life, he might have convinced her to join the Brotherhood, or he might have convinced her of, like, you know, the mutant plight, and there's all these kind of interesting story beats that could have come out of that.
Definitely. It wasn't just a fanboy thing.
Also, was this supposed to be... Was Evan Peters our Luke Skywalker?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because we never got a Luke Skywalker, did we, really?
But then we never got Paul Bettany's actor. It turned out it was himself.
That was so funny, though. Like, I think that's hilarious that he did that. I think that's so funny.
It's a party.
I feel bad for him and Elizabeth Olsen because obviously when they're in these interviews, when she said, oh, there's something Luke Skywalker level, and when he said, there's an actor I've wanted to work with for years, they didn't think that it was going to blow up. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's also, it's not the fault of the show.
It's the fault of us.
The audience. Of course, yeah. It is. It's the fault of us getting so carried away with as a collective, as the internet, as the way the media comments on all these interviews and stuff. Like we turn it into a big deal. We take the smallest scrap of the interview and go, oh well, you know, this must mean, you know, who could this be? Here's 10 people that could be Luke Skywalker level in WandaVision and all this sort of stuff. And like,
exactly,
it would have just been better if we just let it go.
No, I agree, and it's made me kind of, I feel bad for them in that sense because I think they've been very, you know, they've been very internet conscious of a lot of these things, and they've put all these sort of Easter eggs in, and they've tried to put things in the background, like, you know, like the Oz thing, for example, where they want us to break these things down. And I kind of felt bad for them because I feel like they've gone out their way to actually try and give us those things, and then you know, these actors have said like one thing and we've took it and run wild with it, and it did kind of make me sad to hear the creator say, "Oh, people are going to be disappointed," because obviously, like in his heart, when he's making the show, he's not thinking, you know, that these issues are going to be a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like these sort of things are going to pop up. So I hope it didn't disappoint people.
What did you guys think about where Agatha's story ended? Because I thought it was really satisfying that not only has she kept her alive and she's trapped her in Westview, but I really liked the kind of almost Hannibal Lecter style plot point they're teasing of like, you know, Wanda is obviously going to keep growing in power, and Agatha is conscious of that, and Agatha said, you know, you'll need me one day when you can't control this stuff. And for Wanda to be like, oh, well, I'll come back here, it kind of makes it feel a bit like it's going to be like Silence of the Lambs, you know what I mean? Like she's going to walk in and she's in prison and she's going to get information out of her for like the next threat or whatever, or the thing she needs to do with Scarlet Witch.
And a nice Chianti.
I don't think we've seen the last of her at all.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
I think that's a really cool idea if they do treat her like that, and save her for a later date. I've often thought that would be a cool way for them to do like a Batman thing with the Joker as well. Like the first time you see him in like the new universe is that he's already in prison, and that you have him helping out, and then you later on have in the third movie that he's the foe or whatever. And I think that I'm hoping they kind of do that with Agatha, like use her for a bit to get information, and then we have like, I don't know, like another show or a film or whatever where she's like big bad and she's got more power or whatever. I always like that kind of thing in when they do that anyway in comics and films.
I'm not so sure that she'll continue to be a villain, because we haven't really seen the depth of her motivations.
It's true.
And even though she says, I take power from the undeserving, that's not necessarily something that's necessarily villainous. It could just be that she's an anti-hero, because from her perspective, the Scarlet Witch is nothing but a bad thing, isn't it? It's the same sort of feeling you get with, like, Batman seeing Metropolis get destroyed and then he wants to destroy Superman because he sees him as like this evil entity. Do you know what I mean? From Agatha's perspective, this was a dark messiah that she spent years, training to combat against.
That is true.
And Wanda saying, "Oh, it's okay. I can control it. I'm a good person." That doesn't mean anything, does it? Like, she doesn't know that she's not going to go off the rails. So maybe this whole time, yes, she was trying to steal her power, but is she going to be revealed as a bit more of an anti-hero down the line as more in line with the comics? I wonder.
Yeah, but do you think though that she's going to be too happy with the fact that she's being kept in this sort of state for a long time? Well, we don't know how long. Do you know what I mean? By Wanda, she's trapped.
Is there going to be a
exactly, sort of thing.
It would be good if she sort of did a thing of, yes, I have surprisingly good motivations in terms of for the good of the universe, but you still kept me trapped in here for 10 years, and for that, I will take my revenge on you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like something like that of like, there's a bit more dimension to her than just,
yeah.
like some kind of evil witch or something.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I don't think she'll be as one note. I do agree with that.
I'm really glad that there was like loads of witchy stuff, because I really like witchy stuff, and the way they did it, like with the runes, and then like when they went back when she like did one of her old tricks and messed with her mind and put her back at the witch trial. I just thought that was
they went full on witch iconography, didn't they? Like the wrinkly skin and all that. I also like that Wanda saves the day through sort of becoming a witch and thinking like a witch, because she uses that rune spell that was set up in the previous episode. That was a really nice Chekhov's gun, because I wasn't thinking, oh, she's going to use that to flip it back on Agatha necessarily.
Yeah.
In a given space, only the witch who cast them can use her magic.
She's still not very trained, but it was nice to sort of. I think across the whole episode, and indeed the series even, they've done a really good job of, even though Wanda is so incredibly powerful, they kept chucking things at her, and they kept finding new ways for Agatha's powers to sort of affect her. Like earlier on in the episode, when she was blasting Agatha with energy, and she realised very quickly that was not effective, and she needed to like throw a car at her. Even little things like that in the moment just sell you on the fact that even though Wanda is very mighty, we as the audience still care about her and still worry about what's going to happen to her in any action scene.
Yeah.
And that's tough to do.
It's well done. It is tough to do, yeah.
Definitely.
Especially when we start dealing with these kinds of power levels.
Yeah, she's a ridiculous power level. Like the things she can do as well.
Oh my god! And she just can't catch a break, can she? She's lost the kids. Where are they?
I feel like that is a letterboxed review in a nutshell of WandaVision. She just can't catch a break. She can't catch a break.
Also, speaking of the kids, like, they were surprisingly calm, considering they were like, we're gonna go to sleep and just not exist.
Well, what do you think about the future of not only the kids but Vision as well? Because I feel like they're now all kind of tied up as one entity. I think.
I feel like we are going to get another Vision, because we have the V1000 out there somewhere flying off. But I just don't know about the kids. I think it would be weird for them to disappear with the Hex and then reappear later on. But I also think it would be weird for them to just be gone. So
yeah, I got to say, I was convinced they weren't going to kill the kids. I was like, there's no way, even with the Hex, coming to a close, I would be hard pushed to see a Disney property be like, no, the kids are dying, the kids are off. But it felt right, but I'm not convinced that we're not going to see them again, because, as I said, they're established comic book characters. Vision is definitely coming back. He's definitely coming back.
Yep. I'm going to throw a
I think
spanner.
that was the right decision. You're going to throw a spanner?
I'm going to throw a spanner. Yeah, I think they're gone, mate. I think they're gone.
Really?
Because I think the reason, unless later, like really later down the line in the MCU, they're bringing back, because I do feel like, I just feel like that it's rare. I don't know. The way they went as well was very emotional, and I feel like it gets a bit messy with, like, the kid who's already got powers similar to her, and then you've got another kid who's a speedster. We've already got one of those. Like, I think. I just got a feeling it would get too messy, unless they need some heroes later down the line once people are dead, or their stories are finished. I'd just be surprised to see them again. I could be wrong, and also I just thought the way they did that was so tasteful, and I just thought it was a really great scene in general.
Yeah, and Vision says before he goes, "Who knows what I might be next?" So I definitely think that's hinting towards Vision coming back.
Yes, I do.
That makes sense.
I think Vision's definitely going to come back, but I think he's going to spend some time apart from Wanda. She's going to go off and do her own thing. She's going to be in a Sam Raimi superhero movie, which just feels good saying it out loud. It just feels... and that's next. That's the next thing we have with Scarlet Witch. It's going to be insane.
Pizza time.
So he's going to go off and do his own thing. I think he's maybe going to do a bit of soul-searching, become the Vision that we know again.
Paint himself.
Paint himself, yeah. The kids, I don't think we'll see for a while. I think either they'll come back into it and they'll be established Marvel characters because, as you say, Charlie, when people go and leave the MCU, they're going to want more heroes for the future. And I think they'll either be setting them up as long-term characters, or I think they'll do a bit of a Peggy Carter in the sense that they'll be part of her ending. Like when Wanda and Vision eventually leave, I think
I could see that.
She'll get the kids back. Do you know what I mean?
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Definitely.
They go off into the sunset.
Yep.
They finally get their house. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
We have said goodbye before, so it stands to reason.
We'll say hello again.
How do you guys feel about Vision potentially coming back? Because, as you know, I've always been an advocate of once they get resurrected once, keep them alive. I don't want to see them die twice. And also, I think, for all the stuff that Wanda's lost, she earned the right to keep her husband. I feel like she's suffered enough.
Yes.
And even though it's a bit of a miracle, and even though it's a bit, it's a bit hokey to bring characters back from the dead, I think under these circumstances, personally, it's right for Vision to stay in the MCU.
I think that I think Vision will. I think he would definitely come back. I'm just not sure. I don't know what they're gonna do about. I don't know. Like, maybe that's the next thing we see Wanda do, like trying to find where that other version of Vision has gone. I'm just intrigued to see how they deal with it. And like you said, I do agree. I think that would be weird for him to. I think they definitely had him fly off so that they can bring him back. Like, I think that's almost a given. I like that because. I mean, like you said, like the cloud, how can he actually go? Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, he can't go anywhere. All we've got to do is build the suit back again, and you've got him in the cloud.
That's what I was going to say. Like, he's not human, so it's not like we're just resurrecting skin and bones. You know what I mean? He's a computer. If your Mac dies, you take the hard drive, if it's not saturated in water, and you put it into another one.
Who would do that to your Mac?
Who would do that to
just some
my Mac?
gigabytes over it. Yeah, that's what Vision should have done to the V1000. He should have just poured water over it.
Yeah. Oh, Thanos didn't have to mess about with pulling his Mind Stone out. Just pour a bit of water on him.
Oh, that was also cool. I like that he tried to do that to him.
Yes, that was cool.
Yeah. It was a fun fight scene. I feel like you got like the appropriate amount of action for a TV level MCU project.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. But then it also had the heart.
I loved that Wanda was in trackies for most of it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Because, when you're caught short in a bit of a battle, you're not always wearing your finest get-up, and midriffs aren't always showing, and boobies aren't always out, but,
I loved her new outfit, though,
I loved
on a serious note.
I was about to talk about that,
Yes.
yeah, definitely. I thought it was phenomenal. So cool. I really like the way it looks. I think it's brilliant.
And then later, when she gets the cape and the hoods.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. I feel like this whole series has sort of been almost like a chance to sort of inject more of the comic book origins into both these characters. Like before in the MCU, like in stuff like Civil War at the airport battle, they just kind of drift into the background, don't they? Because they're so powerful, they can't possibly really have them fighting like Black Panther and all these people that are like more ground-based.
Yeah.
Whereas now that they've gotten like their own story, they've like gone through all the the minutiae of it. They've given us White Vision from the comics. They've given us Scarlet Witch with the headdress, and do you know what I mean? They've leaned into like their origins and their powers in such a more concerted way that I feel like we've finally gotten the Scarlet Witch, the Vision that we know from the property.
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
Absolutely.
And now that we have them, we've got them. Do you know what I mean? It's like if we bring in mutants, or if we, as we know, Wanda's going to be in Doctor Strange. It's just like the possibilities are now endless to get more Scarlet Witch content. I'm very excited. I really like her as a character.
Yeah, I think they're both fantastic, and I think that it's the first time I felt in the MCU that I'm like, hold on a minute, these might be like my new kind of favourite people to watch. Like, I want to see what happens to them. Whereas before, I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't really care what happened to Vision that much. Like, I didn't really know him that very well much, and now it's like, oh, actually, they've become more well-rounded characters, and they've got charisma, and because it's so difficult with Vision because he's a computer, like it's so difficult to give him those. But like Paul Bettany brought that charisma in, and obviously the fact that we spent time with him for a series has allowed us, to.
I think they're undeniably the best MCU romance. It's always between. It's always the gold standard. The gold standard is Steve and Peggy for me, and it's about whether it tops that. And I think now the amount of time they've had and the things that the stresses that have directly affected their relationship, rather than the relationship being a part of the movie that happens to go on in the background, has made it the best MCU romance for me.
Definitely, 100%.
And you can hear all about the best MCU romance on Full Fat Video.
Yes, in my video essay about it. Yeah. Shameless self-promotion.
I got you. I think there was a danger when creating White Vision of him becoming Ultron almost. So I like that they really steered away from that.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't unconvinced that James Spader's voice was going to come out of that thing.
Yes,
and I was very happy when it was Paul Bettany because I just didn't want. If Ultron comes back, I would like it to be like the full Ultron. We make a big deal out of it. I don't really want him to come back in like another form played by a different actor. Like just bring back James Spader because he deserves it. He's a great actor and he's a good voice for Ultron. I think the characterization could maybe change a little. I personally much prefer a Skynet-esque Ultron that's like emotionless and not just like Tony Stark 2.0.
Yeah, that was weird.
But it was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, very.
I like how every time we watch WandaVision, an Age of Ultron like poster comes up afterwards.
Yeah, like,
it's like no,
are you sure you don't want to watch
this? Please watch it. We need the views.
If it had come up with Infinity War after an episode of WandaVision, maybe I'd think about it. The only thing I thought was weird about Vision flying off and implying that Vision is still alive is I thought they would get back together at the end of the episode, because I feel like the show deserved him to be alive and confirmed. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a bit of a weird beat that he's gone off somewhere and now Wanda's going to go off and do something. And the only reason I feel like she didn't keep the family at the end, because I feel like thematically it made sense for her to keep a family at the end. I feel like the only reason Vision flew off and all that is because we know she's going into Doctor Strange. That was the only thing about it that felt very like, oh, we've got to move her across the board over here. So she's going to go off and study in the cabin from the end of Incredible Hulk and learn her powers.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I agree. That was a bit strange. Although, I don't know what you guys think about this, but I've got a question related to that. Is that, do you think we're going to see a WandaVision season 2?
No.
That's a good question. I don't think so.
You don't think so? I think we will. I think we will.
But what could they possibly do with it? Do you know what I mean? I feel like it would just be flogging a dead horse to...
But I see it as like, you got the concept of WandaVision. We got to see that concept play out in terms of the comics. Now it's just a WandaVision TV show where we see what WandaVision get up to and what adventures they go on. You know what I mean?
That to me isn't unlikely. I think with all of these Disney Plus shows, I think they're going to be like one and dones. That continue the story of the MCU and continue those character stories, and then from there, as we've seen with Wanda, now she's going to go pop up in a movie, and then from there, who knows? Maybe she'll come back to Disney Plus. Maybe she'll go back to the cinema.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think with all of these seasons, they're going to be like treated as miniseries, and if the characters come back to Disney Plus, it'll be like a new miniseries. Do you know what I mean? So like, if Wanda comes back to Disney Plus after a Multiverse of Madness, it'll be like a different title. It is essentially, in terms of the investors and the shareholders at Disney, it is WandaVision season 2 in terms of the money to be made. But I think they'll brand it and package it as a new thing that's starring Wanda and Vision, or just Wanda, or just Vision. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. I do think they will do a season 2. I've got a feeling.
Well, straight up, they'll be like WandaVision.
Season 2, yeah. I've got a feeling. Yeah.
Really? See, I would rather them tell like a new story.
But I still think it'll be a new story with these characters.
Bringing back more seasons.
I just think it'll be...
But I would rather like, I don't know, like a Cap and Peggy with Back in Time series, or...
Whoa, well now you're just talking dirty to me. I mean,
but I'd just rather see new characters and form a bond with characters like we did with Wanda and Vision. Just with new characters. Maybe like there's a Rocket Raccoon and Groot series.
But that's what I mean. I think it's all going to be like for example, if that were the case, Rocket has popped up in Guardians 3. Now he's going to pop up in the Rocket and Groot show.
Yeah.
Now he's popped up in Guardians 4 and 5, and now he's gone back to Disney Plus in the Winter Soldier Rocket show, and it's like a completely new premise. But do you know what I mean? But in terms of people liked Rocket on Disney Plus, let's put him back on Disney Plus for another season. But it's going to be a different premise and a different idea. I think that's what I see for the future of Disney Plus. But of course, all of this stuff is now quite new. We've just had one show, haven't we? We haven't even had Falcon Winter Soldier or Loki yet, so it remains to be seen. But I would imagine as well, just from a business perspective, I think it's going to be difficult to keep wrangling movie stars back for like miniseries again and again and again of this degree. I think the reason why they got the stars from the movies in the first place is I reckon they said to them that this isn't going to be like an ongoing thing. This is going to be like 8 episodes, one and done, and we move on to the next project sort of thing. It's going to be treated like a movie.
I hope so, but I think that we're in the business of sequels, baby. And I think that the MCU is going to give us second seasons. I really do think that.
But I think the MCU has always been very clever in disguising those sequels. Like, we've basically had Iron Man 4, except it was called Captain America Civil War. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, I think we will get WandaVision 2 in a manner of speaking, from a certain point of view, but it won't be WandaVision
film or series. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. It'll be like, the Scarlet Witch, Wanda and the X-Men, something like that. The Scarlet Witch when they reboot it.
The Scarlet Witch.
It really upsets me when there's like a really nice polished off first season of something and then they try to bring it back with a sequel season. It doesn't sit well with me. It always upsets me.
Well, we've got that neat one and done, like very much with...
just leave it alone.
I do know what you mean, but
I feel like that with Stranger Things.
Stranger Things is exactly it. And Riverdale, I don't think that needed any more seasons. I thought the first season
I don't think it needed any
great.
seasons, really. But
we're all entitled to our opinions, aren't we? No, it is top tier trash, but we love it.
No,
trashy shows.
I can see the so bad it's good appeal of Riverdale, but yeah, maybe you'll get me hooked onto it.
More than the first season. I literally watched like 2 episodes of the second season. Was like, no, this hasn't got the same magic.
Okay. Much like this episode of the podcast compared to our previous ones. After we, I don't know how many times the jump cuts and the changes to topics will mask the incredibly difficult and painful time we've had recording our first ever filmed Full Fat podcast, but hopefully people still enjoy it.
Yeah, I do feel like if you did film all of this, like the behind the scenes, it would make quite a funny comedy. Not for us because we're obviously stressing out, but from the outlooker. I mean, Matt just lifted up a chair, didn't you, Matt, a minute ago?
in rage.
Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
We started watching WandaVision at 8 a.m. and it's now 2 p.m.
Yes.
And we're still not finished recording.
I had to go all the way downstairs because our lift is broken, and the delivery man left a package, and I thought it would be a normal package, and it was a massive package. So I carried the postman's massive package up the stairs to do something.
It's almost laughable
to see what I could do
how
with it.
much things have gone wrong today. But we made the most of it. We've tried.
Yes, you know what?
We're having fun.
It's the first filmed podcast. There was going to be some teething problems. I think we've risen to the challenge. We've visioned the challenge.
It's like the first day on set, innit? Everything goes wrong on the first day on set, isn't it?
Exactly. But next week, obviously, it's going to be the smoothest ride imaginable. Yeah.
We just lack a little vision.